All right. How you getting on? You well? You well? How's your June going, huh? You getting out there? You shaking that tush? You waving that flag? Legally, you have to. Legally, you're obliged to, if you're an ally. No, look, come here to me. How was your bank holiday weekend? Yeah, did you get away? Did you fly? Oh my God, did you go through hell? Did you go through hell, aka Dublin Airport? Oh my God. Yeah, apparently the DAA stands for Look at the size of that queue. Oh my God. Because I know. No, it looks like pure hell. And Twitter been having a bloody field day. So actually, I saw some tweets and I just quit Twitter. People being, hey guys, why don't you give me an example of something you can do in the queue for? This is what I saw someone say. Hey guys, what can you do in the queue for Dublin Airport this weekend? I'm not having a go. I am having a go. Look, if you don't have a joke, you can't set up a joke and then ask for a punchline. I mean, I know I do that sometimes, but it's all a bit of fun. You can't try and get a viral tweet by just asking a joke, right? And getting multiple retweets. What does it even mean? What does it even mean to you? Here's something you can do in the queue. I just saw your tweet there. Just wanted to send something in. You could watch all the extended editions of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I was thinking, 20 billion retweets. You could watch every episode of EastEnders. What? You mean ever? You could bloody, you could read the Bible front and back and pray for the staff that they had to let go. I know, look, in my opinion, I think it's, call me crazy, okay? But in my opinion, it's probably because they sacked all that staff. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. I know, look, everyone has their opinion. Some things are just facts, though. I know, come here to me, listen, Liv. I'm not talking about any of that shite right now, right? I'm talking about my brother, okay? I have my brother on the podcast, and at a very opportunistic point in his and my life. No, what I'm saying is my brother's a viral TikTok star. Before that, he was just my family. And this is going to seem very opportunistic from me because I've been on his podcast about 4 or 5 times, and in the last 2 weeks, he's got like 10 million views on TikTok across 4 videos. And so this might seem like, but look, it's not opportunistic. It's a long time coming. I've talked about it multiple times on the podcast that my brother used to be a witch, that he used to kick my ass in FIFA, that he used to be mad at the gangster rap, that he got me into punk and all this kind of stuff. So we have a good, nice, long chat about our upbringings because we were, we had the exact same childhood, and we have the exact same sense of humor. So it was a very fun chat to reminisce and, for him to educate me on a couple of things and to talk a little about Liverpool, the mighty Liverbirds, mate. My favorite soccer team, the Liverpool Liverbirds. So we have a good chat, and it's very sincere, very genuine. We have a lot of laughs. He compliments me a lot, which is great. I try and do the same. And it's a lovely chat. And let me tell you as well that this chat is sponsored by the Dubliner Irish Whiskey, mate. Go to the DLD.com and guess what? They have some brand new tasty ass whiskeys. I've told you about this whiskey company before. They make a delicious whiskey, all right? But they're not precious. They like to jazz it up a bit. They like to age it in different casks. They like to age it in bourbon casks. They like to age it in smoked stout casks and give it different elements of flavor. And they have a new whiskey on the horizon. And the only way you're going to find out about it is by going onto the DLD.com and checking them out or walking into Dunes stores, mate. And you can check them out there. Also at Dubliner Whiskey on the Soch on Instagram. They're a fine sponsor of this podcast, and I'm indebted to them. And look, it's a great chat, and we have a lot of time. Well, it is actually a long chat, so we do have a lot of time, and it's a fun chat. So this is my brother, Andy Cantwell, at Andy Cantwell on TikTok, just chatting about football, witchcraft, and making things. It's a lot of fun. Bye bye.
So what are we doing? Just riffing?
Look, we're just riffing. No, I'm going to be talking to you about, and actually, this is a conversation that I think I've been trying to like get this conversation out with guests that they don't have the same thing. But based on our kind of upbringing, I kind of assumed that everyone got into like Green Day and Blink-182, and then they just got into like other heavier stuff, and then and then into punk, and then loved American Pie, and then there was a pivot of rap for a while, and like had a Sega Dreamcast. Like I project our childhood onto everyone, and I kind of assume because you were a little goth and I was a little emo, and we were like early rocker adopters for our age and grew out the hair, I assume that was a phase for everyone, and not at all.
No.
and so I often ask people what the kind of subcultures they belong to, and they're like fuck, stop talking.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I know. I was listening to the Sean Burke one there the other day. Oh, he's such a lovely guy.
He is such a lovely, and he's so fucking smart at putting things, like he doesn't just go for the low hanging fruit, and like I'm going for lower hanging fruit. I'm going for like poopy butts and dicks, I
know.
You should get him on your pod now that you've poached all my friends.
Yeah, I know. Who else you got?
Killian, actually, as if you could love Killian Sunderman anymore. Just as I was about to do the gig, or I was emceeing his gig, he came over to me, and this is like, he's locked in, focused on his thing, and he's like, oh, by the way, amazing about your brother. That's amazing. His video is so funny. It's so amazing. And I'm like, as if the Cantwell boys couldn't love you anymore.
I know. He tagged me in there's a commentary thing going around of like this guy when Kevin Phillips scored a goal, and like Rolling Stones Satisfaction came on, and he was like, Kevin Phillips, Southampton, and like it goes on for ages, like one of these foreign commentators, and like I was like, no way, he's tagging me in like commentary things now. Like, I've arrived.
You have arrived. Well, look, that's the only reason why I'm having you on this podcast, is because to boost my numbers.
I've got the numbers to back it up now.
You do have the numbers to back it up. Within my entire career, within the span of a week, you got more views, more likes, and your success rate is so infuriating. You had 9 followers, and then what was the first video?
It was the Minamino goal.
Yeah,
it's like it's 1-1. That one.
Yeah, and how many views did that one get?
1.3 million.
1.3 million. And then it was 3.6 million.
And then it was 4 point something. But now it's kind of leveled back down. Like, I'll talk about it, I guess, on the pod, but like
we're in the pod now.
Oh, we're in the pod. Okay, great. But yeah, it was kind of like, the last one got like the least amount of views, I suppose, but like it got the best feedback. So I'm like, well, that's all I actually want.
Yeah,
I just want people. And like Ashley, our sister, was saying, like, it's like the last thing any of you need is people telling you how funny you are.
It's true.
And I was like, but like, so it's kind of weird the way it works, because it's like the first maybe 3 hours worth of comments I'll like sort of monitor, or I'll sort of check and stuff like that, just to see if people are liking it. And then like once I get that, then it's grand whatever happens, because then the next wave, once it sort of goes to, I guess, the For You page or on different things, then it's just the general sort of football, toxic football comments of people just getting in arguments in the chat and all this sort of stuff. So I kind of like, if it's not about me directly and how funny I am, and if it's all about he needs to retire, and I'm kind of
no.
And then I'm kind of like, I don't want to be the voice of like, he should retire, because I love Martin Tyler now.
You've always I only know him from FIFA games.
He passes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just like, I think I genuinely think he's just like that. And like, anyway, and some of the comments are saying like, he tends to be more up for the underdog and all this
he's seen it all.
And I think he is, like, but it just lends itself so well to this disgruntled man sort of angle that I've taken it upon. But I have a few other commentators that I think are great for that sort of stuff, so I'm going to sort of branch out.
But it is your face that sells it, and the drop of a reaction, and how because you are getting it lip sync perfect. So how do you get that so well?
I would like, I just watch them over and over again. Like there's one that I think I'll put out tomorrow of it might be out by the time the podcast is out, but there's this commentator, Jonathan Pierce, and like he so wants to be like a poet or something. He does these like big grand sort of things. But there's a really famous clip of him when Cantona drop kicked that fan in the 90s. Remember when he attacked that fan? And he just goes, like, it's like a common line. It's like, I care not one jot about his supreme talent and all this. But like, but that clip is like 55 seconds long. And I was taking the dog for a walk that morning. I had it on loop on my YouTube, and I was trying to get it down as I was taking him for a walk. And then I was like, okay, I have it. And then when I start recording, I'm like, oh yeah, I have to act it as well. Like I can't just mouth it. So it usually takes like a couple of goes. So that's definitely been the most challenging one so far. But I think but he just goes so mad that like I think it was worth doing it.
One jot.
I care not one jot about his supreme talent. So there's a few different ones that I do. Like I wouldn't mind getting into other sort of sport and like a UFC thing maybe, or one or two comments saying there's this one or two guys in boxing who's like that equivalent in boxing where he says nothing when someone's actually getting beat up, but when nothing's happening he's going mad. So like I'm just kind of see where it goes.
It's like, pure. It is, but it's pure joy. Even as me, a fair weather football fan, because I actually like watching football highlights. The amount of times you maybe watch Robbie Fowler's Hot 100.
I know.
And I'm just like, I mean, goals are satisfying. So it's always satisfying content to watch any goal, and you'll stick around, you know. But then also just to be able to. And the replayability of watching you exactly in sync, and your eyes change and your lips change, and just the disappointment sometimes. It's perfection to watch as a casual viewer.
I only ever say to you to watch like only if something really good is happening with Liverpool. I'd be like, right, like I sent you a voice message a few weeks ago when they were up for the quadruple, like, right, Man City have drawn last night, so that means that if we win, and like they're not going to win, or like they're not going to lose the last match, but if they do, and all this sort of stuff, and I'm like, I only try and get you in on like the really really big moments, like here's why you need to watch.
I appreciate that, so thank you very much for leave me a very disappointing week of sport.
Oh my god, I was so annoyed. And like this is the problem, because it's like these people don't know that I exist, but like I shouldn't let this like external thing affect my mood so much. Like I do think about that with like football, that like I get so invested, and like nothing else would make me go like, yes, you know, like you could give me literally the best news, anything to do with like a personal achievement or a family thing even, I'd be like, oh, brilliant. But like if Liverpool score in the last minute, like nothing gives me that like where I just cannot. I'm just so like punching the air and like jumping up off me chair. I don't know what it is like, but it was only after the last week when they lost the Champions League final, which I was so frustrated about. And the fact that like Villa were 2 up, and even when like Villa were 2 up, I know you probably don't want to get too in depth into football.
No, it's fine.
But like when they were 2 up and then we were playing shite, and I was like, if we don't win, I say we again, like they don't know me, but it's like if we can't win now, like that, like at least we won our match, but like it was just still heartbreaking. But
that's as well. I was watching it, and like I was watching the Liverpool match because I thought no fucking way, and then Villa got 1 up, and I'm like, but it was just at the time that I was like, oh, Liverpool need to be playing better. So I was like, I don't want to go off Liverpool because I want to see that they might win.
No.
And so I missed both Villa goals, and then when Liverpool were up, then I swapped over, and then seeing fucking City come back.
Just the frustration.
It was it was just the most dissatisfying, you know.
And my TV turned off.
Good.
At about like the 85th minute, you know, where your digital box sort of just shits the bed, and like it just turned off, and it takes about 10 minutes to turn back on.
My dodgy box is perfect, so I don't have any of those issues.
I have to get one.
You do.
And I was saying to Kerry, I was like, well, Salah scored, like, and I'm scrolling through Twitter, I'm like, and City are winning 3-2. I'm like, fucking this fucking thing. Just getting so annoyed about it. So I have to sort of chill out about it, you know.
Have you watched Severance, that Apple TV show?
Mm-mm.
It's very good. I highly recommend it. But
Is it football related?
Nothing to do with football, but the thing is that the whole idea is that there's some, you work an entire day, but you kind of live it as an alter ego. So you go into this elevator as a normal person, and then as far as you know, the next thing you remember is leaving the elevator. But what you've actually done is gone and worked a full day's work, and then you
Terry
come back.
told me about this.
Yeah, but no, the reason I say that is like Adam Scott's in it, and so like he kind of like goes down the elevator, and then this thing goes ding, and then it's a brand new person. That's kind of like me with losses in sport. They do not last long at all. Like I totally forgot about Liverpool like 10 minutes after, 5 minutes after. Didn't linger, didn't ruin anything. But it's also why I can't really be there for the big victories as well, because it also leaves me. It also, well, actually that's not true. No, I mean the actual Premiership win and the Champions League in recent memory did linger for like a day, but not in the same way.
It's not, and like Kerry would ask me, she'd be like, "Why?" She's like, "Why do you do this? Like, if it makes you so unhappy." I'm like, "Because if they win, And she said, "Well, surely it's better to win, score like a last minute goal, and to overcome." I was like, "No, I want to be 3-0 up after 5 minutes and enjoy the match." And then if we win, I will consume I'll watch the highlights. Like, I think I watched that goal where our keeper scored that header to get us into the Champions League. I think I've watched that about like maybe 700 or 800 times. I keep watching it, and it just makes me
watch that a lot.
I'll read articles, I'll listen to every podcast I can find. So for days, it sustains me. But yeah.
Whenever there's a team getting absolutely demolished, I even said this when I was at the Bose match recently. I was.
What were you doing there?
I don't know. I hated it there. It was an awful time. No, I'd rather go to anything. I'd rather go to like a interior design conference in the RDS, because you could like slag stuff. Like that's sort of like, if we're watching it, can we not just like slag it a bit, Yeah,
everyone's too invested. You come like, "Shut up, Willie, I'm trying to watch this."
I know. And I also don't want to like out myself as like,
He probably should have passed it there, lads. What?
But anyway, I was saying at the Bose match, they're like 2-0 down. I was like, hey, it's like me playing FIFA with my brother over here, fucking the way they're demolishing these guys.
Absolutely. Crickets.
Because it was cricket. Because it must have been a very deeply dissatisfying experience for you playing FIFA with me.
It was so satisfying because, like, I remember I was only listening to that podcast you did with Sean Burke when you were telling him about how I used to absolutely thrash you, and I'd make these creative characters like Iranovsky, this like he was like a bald guy with stubble, this like Eastern European powerhouse. But I remember even with you, I kept telling you all about wait till Iranovsky gets the ball or whatever, and like 99 everything. And I remember I'd never scored from this far out. I just shouted, it was like 40 yards out, I was like, "Iranovsky!" and like smashed off the crossbar and in. I was like, "Oh God." I couldn't get over it. It's so satisfying because like you are so much better than me at every other game. Literally every other game.
Thank you. I'll take that. No, it's good to be said on this pod. I remember
I'll give you that.
You had like a small little scrappy fella as well. I can't remember his name. Actually, no, this was with the goalkeeper. With the goalkeeper, you would pass it back, run through every one of my lads while singing the Match of the Day theme song, like twice, and then just do loops and go back again.
But like the funny thing is, like, I'm so much better than you at football games, but whenever me and Terry, who I do the podcast with, and our friend Andy, we've had these games nights for the last maybe 15 years. And
tell them what the forfeit is of your precious games night. This is the forfeit. Right. This is the forfeit. Bunch of lads.
It's the most disgusting forfeit you could ever ask for.
Say it.
So the loser has to drink a bottle of sparkling water because we hate it. It's so. And I mean, people drink it like as a refreshment, and every time
this is sparkling water. I'm having a great time here with this.
What?
Highly carbonated. I have a home little machine goes.
Oh my God!
Highly carbonated.
Torture. And every time one of us drinks it, I remember Terry threw up because he had to drink it. Because it was the first time he won all the time, but like we got one where we had like a liter of it. Normally it's just a 500ml, which is bad enough, but we got a liter of it. He's like, I have to go for a second. He like just got sick in the toilet. It's just, and every time one of us is drinking it, it's like, who would drink this? Like,
pathetic.
It's like, if anyone like, it's like if I find out someone drinks sparkling water, I'm like, it's like when you ask someone like, who do you follow, like Man United, like, all right. It's like that with beverages.
Yeah, I still do have that. I just relate Man United people to just sporto bullies.
To all the other things I don't like.
Yeah, I know. It's not fair. It's not fair on them. They were a popular team in '97.
Because now Liverpool are what United were. Like, people supported United because they were the team of like the '90s, and now Liverpool are kind of the team. Depending on who you ask. So now a lot of young people are just Liverpool fans. But I don't want to go too far down the football rabbit hole because I know you're out of your depth.
I'm out of my. Yeah, I am. I just. It's just never. Football kind of worked with you. You are still very good on a five-a-side. You still do.
Thank you.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned,
really not.
as a I mean, I'm just surprised I can be nutmegged, but then you and Ben just nutmegging me all the time. And I'm like, how are they doing this? Pure magic.
And I never take it easy. Like, even on our brother Ben, who's like considerably 15 years younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like proper just like milling through him. And all, like when we're playing, after, like, I love showing off my authority in people who clearly shouldn't even, are in no way near my size.
No, but it's been satisfying for him now that he can run rings around us.
Yeah, absolutely.
You were saying about games night before I asked your forfeit. You were making a point about it.
No, that's it. It's just like I'm not the best at all at these games nights, because Andy and Terry, like, who be two of my probably closest friends, like they really know football, and there's like a group chat that the three of us have, and like a lot of it is football talk, and I usually just stay out of it because I feel like you. Whenever I want to comment on a game, I'm always kind of like, no, I don't know what I'm talking about here. So there's levels.
The lads' chat is always full of football. I try and kind of swing it to, pardon the pun, Spider-Man sometimes. But like, what do we think of? But it's a mix of both. I just stay quiet until it's like movies or game related. And then I fucking make up for lost time. You better believe it. These monologues, these pieces that belong in The Guardian. I kind
of resort to what I would imagine you would be like, in that if they're getting proper technical, it's like, I don't know about that switch from the 4-3-3 from 4-2-3-1. And I'm like, I hate his face. Like, look at his face. Like that's what I'd resort to in the chat.
No, I'm always like, whenever we just find ourselves watching a match during the day, I just can't. And every time I realise I'm doing it, I'll be like, it's a nice jersey, actually. It's a very nice kit. Like, it's a nice little bit of white trim on it there. Very nice. The collar, it's very retro, cool.
Unless you're talking about exactly what's going on and you can see things before they're going to happen, like, you just don't get involved. That's
And then Terry watching fucking Leinster matches when everyone's holding on. Everyone's always holding on, in off their feet. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I've never gotten the rules to rugby. Like, no. I know roughly what you can and can't do, but whenever there's like a foul or an offside or anything like that, like, I don't know.
me and Mam went to a match with Terry's family, and we just kept fucking looking at each other, shrugging, just getting each other points. Like, for the fuck, like, I don't know. There was a bit where we both cheered at the same time, and we're the only people in the stadium because we thought that they'd scored.
She used to be really into football when we were both when you used to go through the phase of also having Liverpool jerseys, where we get matching Liverpool jerseys with Fowler 23 on the back.
Yes.
And we'd be watching it with her, and she'd be like, "Come on!"
Yeah,
she gets so into it. Like.
She did, and then that's just really dormant now. That's just not.
Yeah,
just
but
gone.
The whole thing, I remember, because I remember I kind of stopped watching football when I was about 16, 17 because I was getting into music.
We'll talk about that.
And it turned out I missed like one of the most successful seasons ever, where they won this treble in 2001. I have no recollection of that at all. Like, that my 2-year gap was like some of their most successful stuff. And I remember I specifically got back into this is how sad I am, that I remember thinking when I was about 17 and I had long hair, I'm like, if I get a Liverpool jersey and I've long hair, people won't know what to think. They'll think, look at this guy, he likes music, but he's also a football fan.
Yeah, I know.
That was actually why I started watching, purely because I thought I'd look cool with a Liverpool jersey and long hair.
Blow their minds. But like, I get it. I remember rocking like this tiny little AC Milan jerseys, little indie boy, because like, all they do, blow their minds, But I also thought I hated seeing lads who I knew were raised being really good at football, and then they were rocking these tiny little, GHD, emo little quiffs and stuff like that. And I'm like, you can't have your fucking cake and eat it too. You have to go through what I did, being a little weirdo, listening to Nirvana, carrying a Nirvana CD in my bag, hoping a girl would ask me what's in my bag. Just in
Like,
case
you're
a
just
girl asks me what's
casually-
in my bag.
You're just casually looking at it, but you don't bring it up. Like, well, what's that? Like, hoping someone would be like, "What's that you got there?" Oh, this. Oh, it's just Nirvana's second album. There, I prefer it to the third, but you know, a lot of people like Nevermind, but not me though.
Yeah, my mate Warren, he remember someone said like, "Oh, I love your Nirvana hoodie," and he's like, "Yeah, name 4 songs," like just straight away, like prove it. There's always this, just yeah.
I'm waiting for someone. That's what my fear is. I'm always waiting for someone to be like, "Oh yeah," and then someone's gonna quiz me on it or something, you know. But yeah.
But yeah, so you got back in it then. Well, look, let's talk a little bit about. I wanted to bring you on as well because I talk about a lot your stint as a fucking wizard, as a witch.
As a Wiccan, I believe.
As a witch of the Wiccan faith. And you know, I've talked about the time that, you know, I did that. I kind of hallucinated and then saw the hedgehog who ate my sick, and a cam came over me, and I realized my spirit animal.
What?
You know this story?
I don't remember a hedgehog one.
No, there was a time when we were we were just 2 lads hanging out. All right, we were just hanging out, you know, getting up to all sorts.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. And I went out saying that because your mum would be listening. And then I needed to get some air, and I kind of felt like I pulled a whitey, and then I went outside. And this was after we had done a Wiccan spell. I asked you if you said that you'd found this in, I don't know, the fucking Malleus Maleficarum or whatever Wiccan book you were reading. You'd seen this spell to find your spirit animal, and so you did this one on me, and you said it would come to me in a dream. And then,
no way, I don't remember this at all.
Yeah, and then I've talked about this in the podcast loads of times. And then, you know, and then we were hanging out, and I pulled a whitey, and then I went outside to get sick. And as I got sick, like I heard a little rustling in the bushes. And out from the bushes, coming towards my sick, right, was a little hedgehog. And I'd never seen a hedgehog. I'd never seen a hedgehog in real life. And it came over and started eating the sick. And then a calm totally enveloped my body, and I was totally relaxed in the presence of this kind of kindred spirit of the hedgehog.
So a spell did work.
I mean, I guess.
That's mad though, that the Wiccan spell actually would have worked then. I was going to say, see, you're confusing the two now. The Malleus Maleficarum was...
I remember, I was just saying a bit of Latin there. The Malleus Maleficarum was for seeing what, you know, was the kind of, for the Wiccan trials, the witch trials, to see what constituted as being a witch and how best to punish them.
Yes, exactly. Purely got it because there was an AFI song called Malleus Maleficarum. They were like a goth punk band that I was really into at the time. And I seen it there when we used to go to the bookshop with Dad every other weekend. And I seen it there, I was like, oh, and it's like, that's that book, you know. So I like never read it once, but I got a book. It was in like Waterstones. It was called The Teen Spell Book, Magic for Young Witches. And it was all spells like befriend your weakness, overcome shyness, make your hair grow long, visit faraway lands. And like, I don't know what that could have possibly meant, but there was one where it was like, if you write this down, leave a pen and a pad on beside your bed, and if you think this or do that or whatever it is, it will send you a message or whatever. Like, didn't happen. It never happened at all. And I was so into it. And I remember I said because I think you were talking about it recently, but like when the census came around, and I said to Mum, I was like, put Wiccan on there. Like, I'm a Wiccan. Put Wiccan on there. And she's like, yeah. And then about a week or two later, I was like, where's that census? Because I was going to do it. And then she's like, oh, I sent it back. I was like, what did you put on it? And she's like, I don't know, Catholic or... and I was like, Mom, I told you I'm a Wiccan now. It's not going to be around for another 4 years. It's like, we're underrepresented as it is.
Yeah, big time.
So, I just, like, I was so into, like, paint my nails black, and I'd wear eyeliner more around the house. I was a bit too shy to wear it in public.
And holidays, you did it in Barcelona.
Yes, I did. And I was only talking to Ashley, our sister, about this the other day. Like, this is how understanding Dad was, because Dad always wanted us to have like a good time, whatever we were doing. And you know, because Barcelona's known for all this like Gothic architecture or whatever. And he went to this mad famous church And I remember like in Barcelona, people would be turning around and like looking at me, and like he wouldn't care and all this sort of stuff. And then like I'd be in this church looking at all this stuff, and he'd come up to me, they're like, "Now isn't that gothic or what?" So sweet. And I was like, "Yeah, like, shut up, Dad." He's like, "You don't get it. You just don't get it." But I just remember
he even took pictures of you in the moonlight next to the
and
church.
I'd have like my fingers clasped like
Mr. Burns' hands.
So yeah, I was so into it. Like I was so into all that stuff. Like I so identified with it. I loved him.
I also loved him. I also listened to them regularly, and I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for those first 3 albums not to be incredible, but it just hasn't happened.
And the thing is, like, I will listen regularly to
Bam Margera's him. If you're, if you broadly thinking about it, like him were the band that Bam Margera fell in love with. He had all the him tattoos. Him featured a lot in Jackass and CKY videos.
And I went to see him twice, and I remember the first time going, I think it was with you and the Ambassador and a few other people, and I remember just thinking, like, I can't believe. Do you ever have a band like that where it's like, I can't believe that we're going to see them tonight? Because it was so incredible. I was like, I don't know what am I going to do? Like, I'm going to just explode out of my body.
It was the best gig I've ever, because I loved every single detail of every band, every bit of stupid little patter. There was a bit where Billy Vallo had like someone threw like a sock, and he picked it up, and he's like, "This song is called Sucks in Love with Us." and he's like, he means death in love with us.
But then I remember I saw them again in the Olympia, and it was like Bam and Ryan and all were there. It was like they were filming Viva La Bam. And I remember like it was actually shite because they were just singing to them. They were up on one of the stands or whatever, and they were changing all the lyrics to put Bam's name in. And I was like, "No, pay attention to us."
I hated it. I know. I hated it. And then Bam jumped off the fucking balcony onto people without warning them.
It's very dangerous.
Very dangerous. What a complete asshole.
But there was bands. So like I'll still listen to the pop punk, but like it has to be. I have to have that like childhood memory banked, because like I'll hear a song like, "This is an incredible. Listen to this riff. Oh, this riff is everything," and it's like literally like, you know, like 1 2 1 2. It'd be nothing. Like, this is everything. The feeling it gives me. But whereas then like the next song, Call Me Shuffle from like 2008, I'm like, fucking shite. And like it's purely just because I don't have 20 years of it in my head. You know? But I'll still like, even today, like, because I just like listening to rock songs that I know every word to. You know what I mean? And that at one stage I thought like, oh, that's class. You know, like I have a very narrow sort of window for music that I'll actually listen to. Like I'd have pop punk. I'd like emo can kind of sometimes make me cringe now a bit more. Like pop punk never makes me cringe. Whereas if it's a little too emo, like I'll sort of be, my adult brain would be like, it is a little whiny actually.
I don't know. I remember listening to Dashboard and being like, no, but like, just listen to what he's saying.
Tell you
like,
what, though,
have you ever loved anyone that much?
The lyrics were so smart. They were so clever. And I remember we went to see Taken Back Sunday, and your man, he was doing all this mad shit. Were you at that? Like, he was doing all this mad shit with the mic where he'd like, fling the mic up. It would be a wired mic. He'd fling it up about 20 feet in the air, like catch it around his neck and like wrap the string around, and then fling it back with his neck and catch it, and just in time for the chorus. I'm like,
it was incredible.
I couldn't get enough of it. So there was loads of times like that where I just remember thinking like at the time, like if I wasn't a standing gig, like forget about it. I don't want to go if I'm not standing. Whereas now, if anything, I'd be the opposite. Like, oh, there's only standing available. Like, I'm not going to that. Give me as far away from the stage as you can.
We went to Ed Sheeran, and I was on the way. I was like, "Oh shit! Oh, by the way, this is standing." And she was like, "What the like?" She tried to act like she was still excited. I mean, it was a great gig. But
I actually like it.
Not to say that that's what entirely what musical tastes are now, but you can't deny a talent like that. Like,
that's the thing.
He is a little emo. That's what it is. Like, he's just a all those songs could have easily been in a pop punk band, and he could have made that the best fucking pop punk band going. But he chose to just do it himself.
I'll hear songs even from like my daughters, like, shows or theme songs from shows that my daughter watches. I'm like, if that was just replaced with a guitar, like this would be an absolutely banging pop punk song. Like it's those same chords that they use in all of them. Like I just feel like everything sort of translates to that. But yeah.
How did the would American Pie have been the kind of stemming of rock music, of pop punk? Is that how?
Actually, you were, because I remember you got Enema of the State by Blink-182, and you got Alien Ant Farm's album. And I remember thinking, and like you had a few other ones, like, but I never really got into as much, like Weezer and that sort of stuff.
Americana was one of my first, which took you a while to come around to.
Which is now Americana. Like I just think, what a classic. But like, so it was around that time. I remember thinking like, oh, that's really good. I remember being a little bit jealous because the song "Mutt" on Enema of the State was in American Pie, and I was like, like that was your band. And so I remember I got the Bloodhound Gang's "Hooray for Boobies." And I remember thinking like, yes, this is good. Like I'm into this. And then I just remember Papa Roach when Last Resort came out, and I got the album, and I was obsessed with it for like.
I was so annoyed you snuck in there. I don't think Last Resort was out for even a week before it was Andy's band. There was a poster of Papa Roach. You wanted to get those fucking Adidas fucking shell toe shoes. All that shit.
So it kind of started with that sort of stuff, but a lot of it was like Napster, and you'd download like that Limp Bizkit song, Take a Look Around, and all that sort of stuff, and it just kind of started from there. And I just remember like a lot of people in school, you were either metal or you were punk, but you weren't punk, you were like pop punk, or I was anyway. So it was always like a little divide between that, so I just leaned in extra heavy on that, because I'm like, well, this isn't too much for me. But then eventually
you just saying that thing about Napster and just downloading a song, that filled me with such delight, even just thinking about sitting at a computer and Mom being annoyed because she can't use the phone because we have to be on for an hour to try and download one song. For some reason, just that level of discovery, even though we have everything. I can watch Avatar in HD on my phone right now, and the battery won't waste. I can watch the whole thing probably on 20% battery. But and like I can do anything. Like this is an Ethernet connected PC that I'm speaking to you on. You know, I'm downloading Microsoft Flight Simulator as we're speaking on Xbox Game Pass. It's just going to be just there on the side. But the idea of just the discovery and just what is this song going to be? Is this song going to be any good? Just filled me with such delight. But it wasn't. It couldn't have been that good. It was just as good as I'm painting it from in my head.
Well, it was just because you'd latch onto something that like, that's ours, that's mine now, this is my thing, and this is what I'm all about now. Like I remember like every time I'd start school in September, I'm like, this is the new me. Every time I'm like, well, like the Andy you knew is gone, and like by lunchtime I'd have forgotten all about it, and I'm just back to exactly how I was.
You got your new Pepsi pencil case. This is kind of my vibe now. This friend's pencil case is kind of my vibe now.
Wait until they see the band that I've got Tipex on the front of my bag.
On your new bag.
My brand new bag that my mom bought for me. But so that was the thing. It was just like, that's mine, and then it got to like, then rap was a thing for a while, which was like strictly West Coast. Like I couldn't possibly
strictly West Coast.
Whereas now I'd probably
this is the kind of like, I know the East Coast kind of had better, I don't know, smarter. It was just less Jerry Springer, we were just attracted to the most salacious, that's why we weren't WCW, we were WWF. Not that also we couldn't get WCW, but I kind of look back on that time in between 98 to 2001, kind of pre 9/11 times, when everything was just like, this is the hot, like I thought the things that were making my personality were like, okay, I have a smorgasbord of things, and I'm selecting WWE, and I'm selecting gangster rap, and I'm selecting the soundtrack from Mission Impossible or American Pie, and those are just hey, I'm an original guy, these are just the things that I like. These are the things with millions pumped into their pure sexuality and violence, and like the most salacious lyrics. Like it is so unoriginal, but it's still so defining. It's insane.
And I remember saying when we were chatting to Dad about System of a Down or something, and he was like, do you think that they're not making it so appealing to people, to kids like you? And we were like, they're not doing that. that you like he just doesn't understand. But I remember like with things like that, like because you'd get into like when I was in my early teens, it would be rap, because I guess growing up, it's like you want to portray yourself as like, you know, you're the hardest. Like not that either of us were anyway close, but like that was your currency. You know, it was it's like can I appear hard and cool, and you know, so the West Coast stuff was all like, you know, hit 'em up and all this sort of stuff, where it was like
also years after the beef had been quashed and we're still like West Coast, like again, these people, most of them were dead, don't care about you living in fucking Merino,
some 15-year-old you know, Irish white boys are no, this is life. But
I remember you having to go with me when I got like that FUBU jacket from TK Maxx, and you're like, only black lads are allowed to wear that. It's for us, by us. I'm like, I don't know, it's a nice denim jacket.
And that's only because someone in school said that to me and I didn't know, so I was passing that off to you. Like, God, you're such an idiot. Like, but like we would be like, me and my friend Cash would, which is, you know, out of context a great name, but we would be just writing like we'd pass this notepad back and forth of like, to the beat of whatever the song is, and we would write our own gangster lyrics, and then I'd pass it on to him, he'd write the next verse, and we'd pass it back to each other. It was just like, it's so stupid when you think about it, but
it's great.
But it was so, because like, you know, around that time is when you're, you know, music is really what you like. I can't understand. I remember when we'd get asked people like, well, what sort of music are you into? Like, oh, I don't really listen to music. Like, sorry? Like, you don't listen to music, full stop. What do you mean? What do you do then? Who are you?
You just do walking around looking at shit. What do you do?
You're just you being you and enjoying life. Like, what? You know? But
like, that's also like what I mean. So like you passing those kind of lyrics around. I remember me and my friend Lorcan Clancy, we used to like pass one panel of a comic, and we'd make a comic by the end of class, pass it back and forth. But like, it was always just copying and completely referencing other comics that we liked, or a verbatim episode of the OC with one word changed, you know. But like, I think that's just kind of what creativity is just at that early stage, just pure kind of mimicry, just, you know, just wanting to completely copy, and you get it wrong, and somehow that looks good, and that's your own style, because you got it. You can't do it as well as they do. You know,
and you're all too young or too stupid to realize that like that's exactly what you're doing. You're literally copying it. It's like, wow, I can actually do this. You know, like
I remember I wrote a script. It was like Clerks, but it took place in a Star Wars queue for episode 1.
I remember
Line Wars.
I remember that, and I remember actually being blown away by. There was a part in that, I still remember it, where it was like, what was it? Like, there was a girl talking to a guy. I guess it would have been you in this character. And it was like,
me being a smug version of me.
It was like, it was something to do with like, do you have protection or something like that? And he said something, it's like, what about Trojan? As in like, and then you confusing that with a comic book character, you know, it's like, or was something like that. And I remember thinking like, that's really smart. Like that's really good. And I remember like, you know, because I remember just growing up, and like, not to constantly just harp back to us growing up, but it was, I just remember,
that's all I want to talk about.
Right. But I just remember thinking that like, and not to kiss your ass too much on your own podcast, but I remember just thinking like, and I'd say it to people. I'm like, he's the funniest person I've ever known. It would be, and I remember like, it used to really annoy me when you'd get the laugh in the house and I wouldn't. But, oh, he's too young to know. You know, like,
I'm the baby. He doesn't know what he's saying.
Like, that's not funny. But like, you would have these little like even with your eyes, like I remember you'd have this little look. I don't know if it'll translate on audio, but like it'd be this double take where you'd look away and then you'd look back and frown, and it was just like, it's so simple and stupid. I remember cracking up. Or you'd have this bit where that person who responds by blinking slowly, it's like, really, and then the other person just slowly closes their eyes and opens them.
The smug blink.
I just remember thinking like, that's so funny. You know?
But that's kind of why I felt like, but you as well, like, I mean, I think that's why.
Oh, come on.
No, I'm sure you probably have it with Kerry, where you probably have a thing where like you might half start a sentence without giving any context to it, and then Kerry knows exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, or vice versa, because you're kind of like, your thoughts are taking the same kind of beats to the third.
Yeah.
You know, and then you just say this thing out loud. It's like, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah,
You know.
It's funny that where you live with someone for so long that like you know exactly what the next thing they're going to say, even if you both haven't been talking about it all. I was like, I know that's going to trigger that frequency in her brain, and she's going to say this to me now. Like I remember I think I said it to you recently, but it actually happened again last week where like we were watching something. It was like an animated thing we were watching with Joni, and like someone was talking and she looked at me and sort of frowned, and I was like, it's not Sarah Silverman. As in, you know, like, or we went to see Sonic 2 there with Joni last week or the week before, and Knuckles is voiced by Big Driss, of course, and Idris Elba. And I remember like she looked at me and kind of squinted, and I just sort of like nodded smugly, like, as in like like that's her asking, is that Idris Elba? I'm like, you know that's Idris Elba, like without any words being spoken. So I just love that where you can just tune in to someone's frequency like that.
But I feel like we had that for like sense of humor things that I couldn't even verbalize. I remember that time we were having breakfast and Dad was all like, he was like putting like breakfast meats on our plate, and he was like, pudding toe, bacon toe, and we both laughed our asses off and I couldn't describe why that was funny, but we both laughed so hard at exactly just the tonality of that. Pudding toe, bacon toe. It was like two questions in such quick succession, completely different tones, and for some reason that tickled both of us so hard. Funny. He was actually annoyed at us because we thought we were taking the piss out of him, and I couldn't describe. What?
It'd be a similar thing where you'd have all this classical music lying around, and like there was a CD lying around Debussy, and I looked at it and I said to you, I was like, hey, you like Debussy, man? You're like, I love Debussy. Just like that. So yeah, it's great. But yeah, so anyway, I don't know what got us onto that, but rap was the last thing I'll say about that was I just remember Snoop Dogg was like my guy. I remember at the time. I remember actually being a little scared. Like my first album was No Limit, Top Dog.
That was a scary one to get into. That's when he was like dark, just fresh of Death Row.
And I remember I got it because I remember I seen on the back there was a song featuring Dr. Dre called Just Dippin', and I remember thinking that must be that Still DRE song that I heard. And then I remember it put on, I was like, oh, that's not it, but like it's still pretty good. And then I seen the video for Still DRE, and I seen what Snoop Dogg looked like. I remember thinking like, oh, like he's a scary looking dude at the time.
Yeah, no, he is a scary dude. And then especially you read about what happened, and you know, he killed a guy and murder was the case and everything, you know.
Yeah, I read his autobiography.
I remember he did. You used to tell me drop all these little tidbits just listening to a track, but he's actually referencing, this. He's actually referencing a Sherm High, and these lads have known to be able to pull the car off the door off a car. They're so fucking.
You know when they say 187, that's actually homicide. That's police lingo, and like that was fun as well. Learning what when he says LBC, that means this. When he says OG, that Long means Beach. This, and CPT, and. 21 Street and all this sort of stuff, like so stupid, like, but I remember like,
but that's why I find, because I know that, because you told me that, when I saw that Just Eat were like doing this whole order like a G, and I'm like, some of these lads are done for rape. Like, some of these lads are like proper, like they kill people, cool. And the way they talk about women, and he's just like, hey, order fucking a spice bag, bro.
I know.
I remember though, like with Dad saying about like System of a Down. Like I remember he brought me into HMV. He was like, all right, pick a CD, and I wanted to get like Rage Against the Machine, and of course it has like the cover as a monk, self-immolating on fire, I
remember.
And then he's like, no, one of the only times he was like, no, I'm not getting you that. There's a So
I remember that.
And then he was like, all right, pick something else. And I was like, all right, I may as well get Limp Bizkit's third album, Chocolate Starfish.
Yeah.
And then we're listening to it in the car on the way home. It's a fucked up world in a fucked up place. Everyone of them's in a fucked up face. If I say fuck 2 more times, that's 46 fucks in this fucked up rhyme. And he's like, what am I doing? Just because, like, all right, a bunch of starfish, whatever. Yeah.
All right, Dad.
Yeah, exactly. I remember that there was that time I listened to it in the car, and then there was also, the Bloodhound Gang, the first one, I Hope You Die, from Hooray for Boobies.
I was just so happy when we were playing that. I just remember thinking like, oh, this is cool. This is like I finally have my thing. Tony's not getting in first on this one. This is my thing. But yeah, I'd still listen to all of that now. The majority of it. Like I'd listen to maybe Kendrick Lamar now. That'd be the only thing. New album's fucking class, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But you have to listen to it like 7 times. There's so much going on. But like, if someone told me that, I would be like, well, I'm not listening to that. That sounds terrible. I want to enjoy it once.
How did you get back into rap? Because well, I suppose I stopped listening to rap when you moved out. Like, I haven't listened to rap in 20 years. Like,
I just kept hearing that Kendrick Lamar was great, and that's really. I mean, I got when I started doing jiu-jitsu, in Arklow. Shout out to Arnkel Jiu-Jitsu.
Shout out.
That they would play like. They played that Post Malone album all the time, like that first one, Stoney. And I remember I just associated it with the good feeling of jiu-jitsu. And I was like, oh, I remember this was the time where I passed the guard, or this was the time where I got my first submit. And I remember like the lyrics of something about there's something about the beat of rap songs now where it's that sort of like tick, 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 tick. I can't emulate it at all. But I just remember
the trap.
Yeah, kind of like that sort of trap beat that's on everything now. And I just remember thinking like, I just want to hear everything with that beat in it now. So I'd get into some stuff and other stuff not. But then I remember like people kept talking about Kendrick Lamar, and I kind of thought like, again, it took me a while to get into it, but I kind of find that stuff I like immediately, it wears off quick, whereas stuff that takes me a while to get into stays with me a lot more. And I remember you saying something actually recently on your pod about like, that's because your brain is like, oh, this is new and unfamiliar, I don't know, like that's literally your brain expanding to new horizons. And I remember thinking that's actually a really good point, like, because I at the start you'd be like, I'm not sure about this, but yet I want to listen again. I know that
was me with like multiple Weezer albums, and even with Beatles albums. Like, I remember listening to Revolver, I'm like, nah, I don't know about this. But I've always used that example, because I think we used to talk about that, because the things that kind of wear you down and you just love, and you can't, you feel like it has changed you. I feel like that's always been a thing. That's why I've never been on Tinder or Bumble or anything like that. I just narrowly escaped the dating app as a popular trend. But that's what I hated about the idea of a Tinder thing, because I'm like, oh no, you have to give it like a chance. Like, you have to. My favorite albums, I was like, don't know about this. It just rubbed me up the wrong way. I liked exactly how I was and how it was, And then just on a third date or a third meeting, you're like, something clicks and you're like, oh, hang on now, this is
actually it's like, actually this is absolutely amazing. So there's a lot of that with that sort of stuff, but I just remember particularly with the new rap, I mean, most of it's shite. It's just because there's more of it, so there's more shite that you have to wade through. But again, I'm not the authority on rap at all. Like, sure, I cringe now. I was listening back to a song. I was just had songs on my shuffle today, and I remember I did a podcast with Terry on our Patreon of like top 5 current rap songs, and there was nothing. I realized afterwards, I was like, there was one, I don't know what I'm talking about, and 2, there was like nothing from the last 10 years on it. Like, I still think, like, that's how I kind of know I'm getting old, because I'll hear a song like Call Me Maybe, not to do with rap at all, but I'll think like, oh, that's a modern pop song, and then like, no, people who are adults now remember that as like, oh, so that's a bit of nostalgia from when they were a kid. Like, what? That was just like 5 years ago. No. It's not at all. It was like 15.
That 10-year gap has been insane, the last 10 years, especially when you look back at music. I remember, like, it was probably 10 years ago now, but I think it was like 7 years ago. The Strokes was like, This Is It came out 10 years ago, and I was like, what? Yeah. That seems like, that does seem like a 25-year-old.
I tell you what, though,
year old album.
Their new one, or the last one, is fucking brilliant. The
Strokes?
The new Abnormal, yeah. I kept meaning to talk to you about it. It's there's not a bad song on it. It's and like, I was never Strokes again. That was your thing. but I came across one or two songs on a shuffle, and like I would highly recommend. It's very, very good.
I might give it a lash.
You won't.
I won't. No, I might. I have a thing where me and Terry listen to like an album over dinner.
Oh.
So just so we get more albums into us, you know. So I've been going through like Pitchfork's classic 80s albums and listening to like early electro and disco stuff.
Well, I do
like
think
the full albums.
I do think that is the way to get into music. Like that's the way I would do it now if I'm listening to something I like. I think to consume an album to death and then move on to the next one. You know what I mean? Because it's all very playlisty now, and it's you know, you'll get a song from here and a song from there, and but I think if you can sit with an album and stew on it for a few weeks, and then you're like, okay, like, because I remember that was like, I got back into the Arctic Monkeys recently because I loved their latest album. And I just wore it to death, and I just remember thinking like, well, there has to be more. Like I stopped listening in 2007 after their first two. It's like there has to be more, and then find all this other amazing stuff. So like I think that's kind of the way to do it.
It is one of those kind of beautiful, I think I talked to you about this before, like that there is, you kind of, it's almost a religious experience when you find out something like, you know, no, I didn't listen to it, but even when you said I was in the right headspace, but something like, you know, Ville Valo from him doing like, you know, instrumental orchestral Eurovision bangers. Yeah. Like when you find out that something is just a beautiful Venn diagram of all the things you love, you know, or you find out like, you know, I don't know, that there's, you know, a vampire movie with Bill Paxton where they're all like cowboy vampires from like 1980. You know, you just find something like that at Near Dark and you're like, what? That didn't exist. Yeah. I remember when people told me that David Fincher had a movie called The Game with Michael Douglas that was like, you know, I think after 7 and like before Fight Club, and I'm like, what? You're lying. I would have heard about that. And we're like, no, seriously. But you know, sometimes you have these kind of blind spots, and you just kind of find out about them. I'm having that at the moment with a rejuvenated love of comics. I'm reading everything now on Marvel Unlimited on my tablet, and these stories, like all these incredible stories, that it's just this beautiful treasure trove that I had no idea was sitting there, like the perfect thing for you, that's just there in the past. You can just grab it whenever you want.
There's nothing, I don't think there's few things more exciting than when you find like a really good rabbit hole and you're like, it's like, oh, that's class, what's that? And like, oh my god, that's brilliant as well. You know, it's like I remember that with like the Beatles or with the Beach Boys when I got into like all this sort of old 60s rock and all. I just remember like what a rewarding journey this is when I was going through. Like you'd find Pet Sounds, like, oh, that's great, and then you'd learn all about Smile, and you're getting like a little history lesson into, you know, what went on there, why did he go crazy, and why didn't it get finished, and then it did get finished, and then listen to it like, oh, it's fucking class, you know.
But that's kind of our Owlad World War II documentary thing, you know. But like, there's so many people who just sit there watching World War II documentaries and they're like, awful, you know. Like, but like we're getting that stimulating thing of like all the information that I want about the thing that exactly I want to know about, but I also like enjoy what it produced. You know?
But I kind of find with a lot of things, like I'm always, even at the age I'm at now of like 36, that I'll still be like, kind of like I was when I was a kid, of like, well, this is me now. I remember like you gave me a MIDI keyboard a while ago, and because I like listen to like lo-fi beats and stuff like that, and I remember thinking like, I'm gonna.
Your background is a lo-fi, Tokyo looking cafe.
I just love the aesthetic of it all. I love all that, and I found and so I got into that. But then when you gave me this MIDI keyboard, I was like, brilliant. And I remember saying to Kerry once, I was like, I'm probably gonna stay up tonight, and you know, after you go to bed. And she was like, why? And I was like, I'm gonna make lo-fi beats. And she was. And she was like, lo-fi beats. She's like, I can't keep up with it. Like, you know. And I was like, it's like, if you can't accept me for who I am, this is who I am. And like every time, like it's like a running joke in the house where like whatever the new thing is this week, and I'll say it, and she'll be like, that's like, why would you do that? And I'll always play this, I'll always pretend to be this like fictitious situation where there's like loads of news reporters around. It's like, Mr. Cantwell, did you get any help on your way to the top? And I'll reply all mad distorted into the mic, no, I did not, and drop the mic. And it's been a running joke for about 15 years whenever she rightly says, what are you talking about?
Sure.
You know.
No, absolutely. I remember, because you know, I know exactly what that is, being like, no, this is exactly what it is, and I guess this is it forever, you know. Like I remember like in my early 20s with my ex-girlfriend, and like I didn't know what I wanted to do with my job, and like it was always a new thing, but no, that's what I'm going to do. And then I remember I said one time, I was like, do you know what, I actually think I want to be a phyllo pastry chef. And she looked like she was going to cry. Does her face just drop in? Just, you need to stop. You need to just stop this.
But I remember, like, but the one thing that you did do, I remember, and I'm still like kind of in awe of it, was like,
it's more of this.
all right. When your first few videos blew up, and it was kind of like you were working sales, and then I remember thinking like, oh, class, you can do sales from home when you did it, and then you weren't really enjoying that. And then you just said, I'm just going to give it a go, and you stopped with the sales job. And I remember asking you when we went to see Limmy, and we were trying to find our car in the airport in Dublin on the way back. And I remember saying to you, like, I was like, would you make, like, again, you can edit this if you don't want it in, but I remember saying to you, I was like, and do you make as much money now as you made, like, when you're doing sales? And you were like, oh no, like, not at all. And I remember thinking, like, wow, that's ballsy. Like, this was in like the really early days. I was like, wow, like it takes such guts to actually take the plunge like that. So like, that's one time where I think it did pay off.
No, yeah. Well, I suppose that was the thing. I remember listening back. I did this like FM 104 like late night radio thing. First radio thing I did with Rob O'Hanrahan from now reporter on Virgin Media, and he was like kind of like chatting to me about it and chatting about like the Plume video. And like I think I come across like I'm on gack. Like I think I'm real like Conor McGregor being like, this is my truth, this is my calling. Like, I think I say, this is my truth, this is my truth, like this is my truth. But that's entirely what I was feeling, just totally inspired, just that every day I'm doing it, like every day, like that I'm in it now, like,
yeah. Well, like, also have to get to that stage where like I don't care sometimes if something sounds cringe or something like that, where it's like I'm just kind of rolling with it, but like, was there a point where you kind of thought, I'm actually going to give this a go? Like, do you remember a specific point, or was it just that the sales thing wasn't working out and you didn't want to get a different job?
No, it was just it was actually because they fired. It was the most amazing thing that ever happened, in that I tried to leave the business and said I'm moving back to Dublin, and then they said okay, and I had a going away party. There was even a marching band that were all wearing Tony masks. It was a big blowout.
You love that.
Typical startup money. Oh my god! Like everyone else would be like shy. I was standing up like, yes, like more feeder.
Like you're not wearing the mask. Put it on. Someone's got it on top of their head. Yeah. Put it on.
So it was really fun, and it was a really fun office, and I was sad to see everyone go. And then as I was like the last day, my director was like, look, they're looking to set up an Irish office. If you'd be willing to just work remotely for a few months, we'd like you to spearhead that. And I was like, perfect, yeah, let's do that. So then I was working remotely. That wasn't working out very well. I need people on me, like, for something, especially for something I don't want to do.
Same.
So I need regular check-ins. And then they were like, look, this isn't working out. So you actually have to pay a redundancy, and we need to buy all your stock back that you bought. So I would quit, and then I stayed with them, and because I stayed with them, then they actually had to give me redundancy, and they had to like give me like 3 months' wages. So because I had 3 months' wages as a kind of as a cushion, I was like that's kind of what. That's also when I was in this is my truth, this is my calling, this is just got to thank the Lord, kind of equivalent. Thank the universe. Being you're hyper religious for like a week, but it's the universe.
Going all like Will Smith before he went all slappy, where it's like it's like, if you say you're going to do this, the universe going to get out your way. And all this sort of stuff. But yeah,
we need to talk about that for a second, because that broke my heart.
Oh, I can't.
That was kind of though the thing where I was kind of like, this is a sign. Or if there is ever any sign, the fact that I wanted to quit and now they've paid me, then I have to take this,
Yeah.
And also a very, very supportive wife who said that she would, and then did support me for, picked up the slack for
that's
probably
great.
a good year.
That's brilliant. I find since starting making these silly TikTok videos that because like the difference with you was that you were already making really funny videos, and then one of them caught on. Whereas like when I posted my commentary thing on TikTok. Like I had 9 followers, and I just thought, I remember I checked it, like, and I thought, like, if you and like John Carroll, like comedian friend, liked it, then I was like, great, like that'd be brilliant. Because I remember I put it on TikTok because I was like, no one will see it there. And then I remember thinking, I checked it like 2 hours later. I was like, fucking hell, 100 likes. I was like, that's crazy. I've got like 70 followers now. And then it just like sort of blew up from there. But since then, I feel like it's like cocaine. Like I just I feel like I just have to keep feeding it now, you know. But like it's great. It's like, but it's kind of, I imagine that's kind of what someone who is an entertainer or content creator has, like, how do you fight that feeling all the time? You know what I mean? Like, or do you get that anymore?
Yeah, oh, you definitely get it. But like now it's kind of, you know, now because I've kind of pivoted away a little bit from the videos, and it's not, I haven't like retired anything, you know. I still think that I'll bring the Dublin Frenchman back and the Maz Mate back, definitely. And probably Plune again, you know, and the Irish Homer. Like I want these are all kind of like just parked, but I just kind of feel like I felt like a podcast was a better use of the bucket of ideas, even though the podcast isn't exactly how I wanted. I kind of viewed the podcast being this kind of like, this is the show and all the characters can come to the show, and that part of the podcast hasn't even come to the, you know, to fruition yet, you know. I still feel like I'm in the infancy of figuring out even how to do this podcast, and luckily there's still an audience for it. So but because, you know, the podcast is different, and I of course see the view, you know, the listens, but I don't see the comments. So that's kind of pivoted, and so now any video is just a bonus. But my heart isn't totally dependent on it, you know.
But what's great about that is, I think, again, not to be kissing your ass too much on this thing.
It's more.
But the funniest thing about the podcast for me is like, it's the little in-between moments, you know what I mean? It's because now you've got like a following of people who just like you for you and get your humor, and it's not based on like, does that skit make me laugh? No, you know, it's kind of like, oh, he's funny. And I think like it's the little bits, like, you know, like, I can't think off the top of my head, but like, you know, little bits where you'd be like, so come here to me, you know, like that's the sort of shit that I'd be cracking up laughing at. It's all the little filler in between bits that I think, and I think that's probably what a lot of people like as well. So I think you've kind of struck gold there, because you've kind of, you know, again not to kiss your ass too much, but like kind of like this like Limmy thing of like, people who like Limmy, a very funny Scottish comedian, but like, he's not even a comedian anymore, he's just himself, and people just like to see and hear him. And I kind of think you've got like a version of that sort of going on. So I don't think so, but I would love that, because I think with Limmy he just has, I've already bought in. It would have to be a series of like a long series of offensive remarks or something like that for me to kind of go off it. But something on what you were saying of thinking that you're, you know, certainly maybe in this medium these videos are in their you know, infancy, but you've got hundreds of podcasts with Terry where you've been trying to make him laugh every single time. You've also just been like, there's also like, this is what I think doesn't get noticed enough. Like I did those commentaries with Kevin McGahern and Shane Daniel Byrne there. We were talking over Dirty Dancing, and we were just buzzing afterwards, because we were like, the muscles that we used to chat shit over a film are not the same muscles that you use for stand-up. You know, they're not the same kind of theatrical muscles. They're the kind of muscles that you hung over, you know, staying over your mate's gaff watching TV, just shouting over ITV. Like they're all the you put in those reps in a kitchen, and you put in those reps in, like, you know, in the sitting room, or, you know, just like whispering under, like in an actual cinema, whispering to a mate in a kind of an empty theater. Like those were skills, but you didn't always have the best medium in which to give them, you know. You didn't have or even in class and kind of muttering under your breath. Like, these are all the kind of skills, and all the faces that you pull even on your TikTok videos are all reps that you've put in, but were not maybe appreciated for what they were, because the platform wasn't there to make it. That's what I find so exciting about different platforms like TikTok and weird alternative comedy things like chatting shite over a movie, or like Dream Gun or something like that. All things that kind of pull from different comedy muscles that you didn't think would ever get a stage, you know. That's the thing. But I think there's so many of our friends are so funny. You know, they just might not want to do a podcast or to put it out there, or they mightn't have thought to do it or anything like that. But I feel like you just kind of grow up. I don't know if it's an Irish thing or anything like that, but I think it's just, you just grow up and you're just constantly trying, particularly I think from about maybe from like 5th year onwards in school to up to present day, like you're just trying to get a laugh all the time, you know, or at least we were anyway. And I just kind of think like, okay, that, like, you know, you just learn as a kid almost that like you're flexing them in school every day. You're, you know, if something happens, or how to sort of, if you're getting like slagged in a group, how do I push that off me and push it on, you know, like all these little things I think all sort of just add up. But it's mad the difference in the platforms, because like TikTok, like the stuff that I've started to put out on TikTok literally in the last 2 weeks, I never had an intention of making one video, but like on TikTok that just it's gone mental. And then like you know, like it does get like, you know, people like it on, I put it on Twitter and Instagram and stuff, but like it's because like I don't know what it is, like the platform, the algorithm, whatever it is, it just puts it right in front of people, and it's like, yeah, that's funny, and you know, and it's just mad the way different sort of humor works on different platforms, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
no, it is weird, because it's kind of like on another platform you would have to kind of stop and choose to stay and sit, but just with your TikToks, it's like everything is there in the first frame. I see the football match and I want to watch it. I see exactly within the one sentence what the setup is.
Yeah.
Which is so. I remember that Erin McGathy was telling me that that like the funniest sketches, like I think, who does it? She gave an example of a comedy troupe that do it. Like if you can actually say the name of the sketch, you know, like the Dead Parrot sketch, or like, you know, this, you know, or like two waiters who are revolted by the food, you know, and there was like a Steve Carell and Stephen Colbert like doing that, and then everything they're doing, they're reading the menu and they're getting sick. But like if you can just see up front exactly what you're expecting while being intrigued, that's why it is literally perfect for you and that medium. And what I love seeing, and I know you've been very supportive of seeing comments, like nice comments for my videos and stuff like that, when I see people saying like, you know, and I can tell they're English as well, I can tell that they're like English and they don't know you're Irish, and they're like, mate, and somehow that's like a kind of like, not that it's like better or something, but it's like someone's foreign or overseas, you know, and it's like, mate, keep this shit up, you know.
I know.
Or like, you
it's
know,
so nice.
Mate, oh, you're really onto something here. I've seen that like, so many times, but you're so right, because it's such a spark to see something brand new like that.
It's funny because I almost feel kind of like, not guilty, but it feels like, and it's not that necessarily that it's easy, I mean, but it kind of feels sometimes like it is. I kind of feel like, is this a cheap sort of gag, you know what I mean? But then I just enjoy doing it so much that I just stopped thinking about it. Like I remember when I put up the first one, and the first one you know, did really well, but the second one I was so nervous, because I'm like, well, that's just going to be a one-off, and you're like, all right, mate, enough. And I remember the second one then did great. And I remember I was driving home, I remember like it was last week, but I was driving home, and I remember like Fall Out Boy, you know that song, This Ain't a Scene? Yeah. And I'm thinking like, jeez, I never realised how much this song fucking bangs. and I was driving and I was listening to it, and I'm laughing and like just thinking about the whole thing. I'm like, like, and I'm like fucking mad, you know, just thinking about the last 3 days. And I just love those moments like that where I'm like, like what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
But like I think I'd like to eventually try and do like the odd sketch or two as well, because I kind of feel like since that's happened, it's kind of, I feel like something like it's kind of opened up a little thing like, oh, maybe I could actually do that, and where I would have thought no, you know, so I kind of think maybe down the line I'll, you know, I like one or two things popped into my head, like, oh, that might be funny, you know. So but like,
that's the whole thing with, well, I don't understand TikTok, you probably understand TikTok.
I don't,
like, more.
I don't.
No, but like, because I used to think, is it kind of like, do people treat it like they would treat stories, like they're just throwing everything up? And some people do, and other people have a more curated kind of thing going.
I think I'd be far more curated. I wouldn't want to put up anything that I didn't think was funny. You know, like like I have one or two videos banked, and I was in work today, and I like, this is how sad I am, because like Ashley, our sister, now sits behind me. And there was only like a little 10-second one that I did this morning, and I was like, and I was watching it on my lunch to see if it was funny, and I was laughing at myself, and
That's brilliant. And that's what it is.
Yeah, and she was like, I was like, I'm actually laughing at my own video, and she's like, you sad bastard. I was like, first rule of comedy, you have to make yourself laugh before you make anyone else laugh. But I was just like, I was like, you're gonna think this is so sad. Like, I'm laughing at myself. Like, so anyway, I feel like I'm talking about myself a lot here, but you know.
No, don't let that Irishness.
Okay, sorry. Good.
Creep up. But yeah,
it's funny because the first wave that'll come in will be all about like, you know, like the clip itself, like, oh, that's funny or really good or stuff like that, and I'm like, oh yes, brilliant. And then the next wave, when it goes kind of the last few, when they've gone kind of mad, then it's just the general toxic football, you know, people getting in arguments in the comments and like that sort of stuff, where you're just like, lads, like, I don't like,
there's this thing I think I've talked about on the podcast. I think I even talked about it last week with Sean Burke, but I just find it so funny. It bears repeating. There's this guy on TikTok, and he's called like the meal prep king, right? And he even has his own range of like, you know, glass, you know, Tupperware, whatever. And he does this thing. He's like, me and my wife, we lost 200 pounds each doing a meal prep every week. And so like he lays out on a Sunday all the food, and all of his videos are just him laying out the food. This is today's. And every single video, there's a comment from someone different every time, and it says, "Oh mate, that food's gonna be fucking rank by Thursday," and then him in capital letters saying, "As I keep telling you, morons, we freeze the last 4." Like, he has this fight every day, and I just
that
find
must be horrible.
But like, he just doesn't ignore it, you know. And I even see, I don't know if you see on TikTok, there's like, you know, I'm a single Asian woman coming home to her, you know, her penthouse or whatever, and you don't see these like videos, and they're like a woman with all the gadgets that she has, you know, she has a special
the exact
thing,
ones you're talking about,
special thing for boiling eggs, you know, the perfect thing for cleaning. I mean, so much plastic and so much, you know, wasted electricity, but there's always a comment, and it's always the most upvoted comment being like, mate, don't know whether this looks super expensive or super cheap, and it's the set from a different person every time. And now I've made it my goal to be that person, so I see one pop up and I'm like, as fast as I can. I don't know if it's super expensive or super cheap, and then I have people like 100 likes being like, oh my god, I was thinking the exact same thing.
Like, yes.
But it's also like, if I'm doing that and people don't know I'm doing that, what are other people doing for the other wrong intentions? That's what's so insane about the internet, is that you kind of can't fully grasp the motivation behind everything other than attention.
That's the thing. Like, I think at the age that we're sort of at now, that like, we know what that is if people are commenting that, and you know, if one of the videos has like 4 million views, like, you're gonna get some crazy like sad people. Like, there was one that actually made me crack up laughing. It was like if you achieve even 1% of what Martin Tyler achieved in his career, you know, it's like, judging by your bad lip syncing videos, I think not. Whereas, like, if I was a teenager, if I was, you know, if it really mattered, I'd be like, oh, what? Whereas now you're just like, you just know what that is, so it's just like, yeah.
But that's, and I'm grateful you're at the age, I'm grateful I'm at the age that, you know, that we have a little bit of our life behind us, you know, and a lot more, you know, ahead of us, that we can kind of can be mature enough to be like, yeah, okay, maybe the last video that I had did have a bit of my, you know, like, you like, say you take your shirt off for the goal in the one, right? And it got great views, but like, imagine you were a kid and you were like, you know, oh, maybe taking my shirt off is the thing, you know?
Yeah. And
now it seems to get more likes, and people seem to like that more about me, and maybe I'm like shirt off guy, you know?
Yeah, you know,
or
maybe I have to do this now. Like,
exactly.
Someone actually commented, was like, mate, why did you cut when you took the shirt off, before you took the shirt off? And I wanted to reply, I'm like, because that's funnier.
Yeah,
it's funnier if you stop, like it's less funny if I take it off and wheel it around my head. Like, that's not as funny. But I remember with your, like, still, whenever you put out a video, like, I'm mercilessly scrolling the comments to see if anyone dares to say anything negative about it. And I remember remember, like, you know, there'd be one or two where you'd see like, this isn't funny, or something like that. Like very, very rarely, I have to say. But but I remember just being like, and then I go into his profile and look like, who's this fucking clown? Like, you know?
Who's this egg emoji?
Where you want to. I remember when you posted a video when we went to Anfield, and like someone, like loads of people were like, you know, like, diehard Liverpool fan, never been to a game. Pff, you know, or, you know, all
they
this
don't
sort of
even
shit.
have the team. They don't even have the team color scarf.
You know,
how about actually send them to, and this was like a year before COVID. How about actually send them to nurses and the frontline workers in the NHS rather than these two mugs?
And then I remember Mam commented, and it's like, a bunch of begrudgers, a lot of them.
Yes.
Oh god.
She was trying to sell some Westlife tickets on Facebook, and she's like, just checking if anyone wants these tickets. I have, you know, 2 spare. And then someone was like, the comment was all like, you know, no, I'm actually a fan of music. So, and she was so like, what? Why would she even say that? She was so pissed off.
I remember, like, I was with her, and she got a text because she'd sometimes sell stuff on Facebook, and she'd be like, are you still selling tickets? She'd be like, yes. And then like, can I, whatever, like, no. I'm like, man, why are you being so blunt with these people? Like, well, I'm just being, you know, like, it's like she's a different person when she gets into selling tickets mode. Like, it's all business, you know. It's mad.
Do you know, I think that's probably a good place to leave it. Andy, the viral sensation, where can people find these videos? Oh my god, you haven't even said if you haven't seen them.
Yeah, you can find them on TikTok at Andy Cantwell, or on Twitter at Andy Cantwell. I'd love it if you checked out my podcast. I do it with my best pal Terry. What's So Great About Pod on Instagram, and WSGA Pod on Twitter. We talk a lot of movies. He's a real movie buff, and I am very, very dismissive of them. So it makes for a good dynamic, because he really knows what he's talking about, and I really don't. So you're either agreeing with me that that's shy, or you're agreeing with him of like, no, it's fucking class, you idiot.
Well, you're only agreeing with Terry.
Yeah, I tell you, I get people messaging me saying, so we met a guy at your show actually, and as we were walking back, he was walking back with us, and he was like, you have the courage to say what other people don't. And I see Terry's walking ahead, like shaking his head. I'm like, yes. But yeah, if you want to check that out, that's there as well.
Great. You've had some of my friends on as guests, haven't you?
We've had Tony on. We recently did a series on What's So Great About Wes Anderson, where we did all the Wes Anderson movies. We had Killian Sunderman and Peter McGann, Ed Salmon, yourself, Stephen Colfer. So we had a few. Basically, I just contacted people who I knew you. I was like, I'm his brother. I assure you, I'm just as funny as he is. And it worked. But no, they were great. They were all great. It was great having them on. So if you're interested in that, check that out. And yeah, that's it. Do check it out. Andy, this was great. We should do it again. Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on.
All right, I love you. Bye.
Love you too.